Hi everybody, Levi Clay here, and today I am going to be helping you out with your phrasing. More specifically, I'm going to be helping someone very particular out with their phrasing, but I think it's a lesson that you guys will all be able to learn something from, hopefully. So this lesson goes out to Paul Bissell, who is one of my patrons over on patreon.com, and in our private patron-only Facebook group, plug, join me on Patreon and all that good stuff. Paul just recently uploaded a video of him playing the song Chromosome, the Mike Stern tune Chromosome, with his band. Now this is a tune that we've been discussing over the last month or so, ways to play the head, picking technique and all of those types of things. And Paul thought he would give the tune a go, and he's done a fantastic job of it. It sounds absolutely excellent. When it came to the solo though, he admitted that it was a bit of a struggle for him because it was a lot of long sections playing over just one chord. So what he did to help himself get by was to compose a solo, which of course there's nothing wrong with that. When I listened to the solo though, there was a degree of stiffness to it, and this I think is something that is easily addressable. So in fact, I'll tell you what, why don't I cut in a clip now of the start of Paul's solo and we'll come back and talk about it. So it sounds like this. Now, I don't know if anyone out there is going to agree with me on this, but as I say, to me, when I hear long picked runs like that in this style, it sounds very unnatural. It sounds kind of forced, and it usually sounds very stiff. That's not to say that you can't pick a lot in this style, but when you look at the players that kind of shaped the way improvisation happens in this genre, in this rock fusion type thing, more often than not, it tends to go back a lot to horn players. When you listen to great saxophonists play, or I guess to a degree, there's a lot of influential trumpet players as well. Or yeah, clarinet as well. Lots of instruments that are played with the mouth. Lots of instruments that require breath in order to play. Now, I'm not going to go down the cliche route of what you should really do is exhale when you're playing, and then when you stop exhaling, you should pause because that's when somebody would take a breath. When that's great advice, but it's not really what I'm talking about here. So when you look at the way a saxophonist phrases in his lines, they don't tongue every single note. They're not there blowing. They like to take advantage of being able to play a note with the breath and with the air, and then slur to another note. Now, some would say that this is done because it makes things a little bit easier. I'm sure it absolutely does, rather than playing fast, long 16th note runs, breathing or pushing those notes out with the mouth individually. But it really helps with the phrasing side of things. Now, this is the key element here: phrasing, because phrasing isn't just about what we play, but how we play it. So I'm not going to criticize a note of what Paul played. I'm just going to help him improve how he was playing it. So what I want to do is I want to jump in and I want to look at the first lick in the solo. So just as a reminder, here's that picking run. It sounded like this. Now, I asked Paul, because again, one of the benefits of my Patreon page is transcription is kind of a must. We're trying to improve your transcription skills. So I asked Paul to just transcribe just this little run because I thought it would be beneficial to fix it. And he sent me this. You can see this on screen now. Now, of course, this is absolutely right. This is what he is playing there. And if we take a look at those notes, I'll just play them for you. We have, we go 1, 2, and now a line like that is a typical bebop rock phrase. going to criticize that at all. What I am going to criticize is the aggressive picking nature of it. It sounds to me like there's no breath. It sounds to me like every note has got that sharp attack to it. And when you really listen to saxophonists play, I took this concept from Sean Baxter and Martin Goulding, who was another one of my influential teachers, student of Sean's, etc. What I took from guys like that is this concept of swing picking. Now, this is something I do in a lot of detail with a lot of my Skype students, and they will really struggle with it. And it's the ability to play weak beats and slur or pull off to strong beats. So if I just look at the first 4 picked notes of this, which are we could think of that as being 4, well, it is 4 notes, but strong beats and weak beats. Beat 1, very strong. Beat 2 is an upstroke or an upbeat. It's a weaker beat. Beat 3 is stronger, maybe not as strong as 1. And then beat 4 finally again is a weak beat. So a typical bebop fusion phrasing idiom, a thing to steal, would be to pick the first 2 notes, pull off to the third, and then pick the 4th note again. So I describe that as pick, pick, pull off, pick. So this will start to add a degree of sax-like or horn-like phrasing to your playing. When you consistently can implement that mechanic across longer lines, they will start to sound more lyrical, more expressive, because this gives your music a sense of swing. We're improving, again, I mentioned phrasing, but it's about articulation, not just what notes we play, but how we play them. That's really, really important. So when I continue that through this phrase, which was initially I could use that same pattern in that second beat. So instead of going, first 4 notes, and then that could become this harkens back to the video I did just recently where I talked about alternate picking technique and what I deem to be strict alternate picking. Even though there are pull-offs in there, my hand doesn't stop moving. Not sure how I'd want to, finger that. That's quite comfortable too. So this is what you would call swing picking. This is where we are deliberately picking weak beats, or the second note of a group of 16th notes, and pulling off or sliding to a strong beat. This sounds even cooler when you start applying it to the 4th 16th note of a phrase and then sliding or pulling off to the first 16th note of the next group. So I guess you could do the same thing here, where we go. That's also going to work. Now, all of these things sound a lot more musical to me than going. I'm not entirely sure how I'd want to phrase that if I was improvising. I quite like that with a slide. To me, that sounds a lot more musical. So as a mechanic, this is something that can be worked on, very extensively. But I'm going to give you a couple of little licks, phrases, and ideas that you'll be able to use in order to help develop this. So what I like to do, and this is going to tie in very nicely with the next phrase that we're going to look at, is just dealing with these what's that, 6 notes? Yeah, 6 notes. 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, yeah, 5 notes on the top 3 strings. So we're going to hit 10 on the B, pick 11 on the B, slide to 12, pick 10 on the high E, and then come down 12, 11, 10. But again, that'll be pick, pick, pull off. And then we're going to hit the 12th fret on the G string. So played nice and slow, that sounds like this. Now when I do that, what you're going to start to notice is this consistency within my picking. Because I'm operating within this paradigm of strict alternate picking, where every first 16th note is played with a down, every second with an up, every third with a down, and every fourth with an up. This means that in order to implement these swing picking concepts into my phrasing, all I actually need to do is make sure that I pull off or slide after upstrokes. That's me boiling it down to something, overly detailed perhaps, but it totally works. So if I'm improvising, of course, then I go and break all of my own rules. Playing a lot of notes there. You need to really analyze it, but the point is I'm not picking every single note there. There's a lot of slurs, and I do it for 2 reasons. One, because it helps my phrasing to actually sound a lot more musical, a lot more horn-like, but more importantly, it actually makes playing a hell of a lot easier, at least in my opinion. So why don't we finish this up just by looking at the last lick that I'll look at that Paul plays. So again, this is a long picking run. Check it out, it sounds like this. So this is a cool lick. It's a nice blend of kind of pentatonic phrasing, but with chromatic passing notes. But as I say, the long kind of picking every single note approach to it, nothing inherently wrong with it, but to my ears just sounds a little bit stiff when you compare it to the likes of the kind of the masters of this style, or this fast, bebop, fusion, rock, soloing type thing. Guys like Mike Stern, or I'm going to say Pat Martino, and I'm also going to say Pat Metheny. They're also all very, very big on this. Another great example would probably be John Schofield, though he does considerably less of the long runs of 16th notes, but they do totally crop up in his playing. And again, when you analyze their vocabulary, not in terms of what notes are they playing, but from an articulation standpoint, which notes are slurs, what you will consistently notice with these gentlemen is that they tend to add a lot of slurs between the second and third 16th notes and the fourth and first 16th notes. So anyway, let's jump on to Paul's lick. So I'm just reading this for the first time, so let's see how this goes. So it begins on the second, the second 8th note of beat 1. So we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Typical top. So it's I'm kind of seeing as E flat minor pentatonic. I don't know what Paul's thinking there, but that looks like E flat minor pentatonic to me, just filling in the blanks. So if we just again look at the first few notes, right? We've got this. Now, to me, we can improve that by adding pull-offs after some of those upstrokes. I'm actually just going to add the 1 in there. Again, starts to sound a little bit more authentic to my ears. And then when I continue on, he plays. Now, if I try and put this in context, and that's the point, I don't really want to force it and say, do this. I'll play this ever so slightly different each time. It's a feeling thing. I'm starting to add these slurs in the places that feel most natural to me. So. Yeah. I don't like to add too many consecutive slurs. So yeah, I think that last one is probably the way I'd prefer to do this. So if I play that slowly. Sorry, let me try it again. It looks like I'm playing the right notes, yeah. It actually makes a lot more sense that it would be B flat minor pentatonic over a B flat minor 7 chord. So yeah. So one more time. Let's try and do this and have this make sense. It'll sound like this. Words to that effect. So a lot of noodling going on here, but that's the point. I'm trying to experiment with this and see what feels natural. It all feels and sounds a lot more natural to me than going. None of that long. None of that sounds or feels very natural to me, these long picking ones. But when you start adding the articulation into them, so hopefully you can take something away from that. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's a lot of rambling going on in there because, as I say, it's me experimenting. But the key to developing this is learning from the masters. I'm not a master, I'm just pointing you in a direction. Go and listen, not just to the guitar players I mentioned, the Mike Sterns of the world, the Pat Martinos, the Pat Metheny's, the John Scofields, but go and listen to where it comes from. Go and transcribe some Charlie Parker. Go and transcribe some Dizzy Gillespie and copy their phrasing, not just the notes they play, the articulation. When a sax player plays a lick, they don't play. See, I can't help myself, I have to do it. They don't play. They'll play. Carried away. Anyway, hopefully that was of some use to you and you got some enjoyment out of that. If you did, you can be like these awesome people over here. These guys support me over on patreon.com and I am extremely grateful for their support. It means that I can take time out making cool videos like this, trying to help people and develop their playing. So thank you very much, guys, for your support. And if you would like to be like them and join us in our Patreon only Facebook group and talk about music and share ideas and request things and join in on our transcription challenges and all of the cool stuff, you can check me out on Patreon by clicking this button up here. You can subscribe by clicking this button down here. I got those the wrong way around this time. And you can check out 2 more of my videos here and here. Lastly, hit the like button, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about it, because the bigger the channel grows, the more time I can take to make videos. And if you have any questions, please do let me know in that comment section below. Much love, guys, and I will see you for another video soon. Bye.